Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all. Best Thrilling Adventure Hour segment.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcasts should have a theme song. Podcasts should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Best Thrilling Adventure Hour segment.
Best Thrilling Adventure Hour segment. Best Thrilling Adventure Hour segment.
Best Thrilling Adventure Hour segment.
Hey, happy MaxFunDrive, Hal.
Happy MaxFunDrive to you and to everybody listening who should be going to MaximumFun.org/join right now to become a member or boost or upgrade. We'll wait. Thank you for doing it. That's how fast it happened.
Don't worry, we're going to keep mentioning it. This MaxFunDrive seems to have become, just by happenstance, thematically, episodes that we've avoided.
Yes.
Our bonus content is all of the topics that we never used over the last 10 years. We did a super fast version of that as bonus content. We're doing What's the Best Swear Word, another episode that we have avoided, in that this show generally plays clean. And another one we've avoided because it feels like just patting ourselves on the back and navel gazing and all other metaphors for that thing, is Best Thrilling Adventure Hour segment.
But it's something people have asked for over and over again in the last 10 years, because a lot of people who, certainly the core audience we started with, all came over from the Thrilling Adventure Hour, and more people when they come in and are Thrilling Adventure Hour listeners or have since found the show and started listening to it. So it's time to finally do this one, do it for MaxFunDrive, and force the creators of the Thrilling Adventure Hour, Ben Acker and Ben Blacker, to do it with us. Hello, gentlemen.
Oh, no.
Oh, they're being silent. Oh, good. They're striking. They're striking. Maybe they're not here. We don't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I swear if you guys do this the whole time. Did you guys plan this?
Hi, guys.
Hi. Oh, there we are. I really got so worried that you were going to make us do it.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Acker and Blacker. Nice to see you guys. Always.
Always a pleasure.
Will you it's so funny to be the ones on this side of asking you to do this. But for those who, for some reason, are listening and may not know, give a short version of what the Thrilling Adventure Hour is.
Sure. The Thrilling Adventure Hour is a stage show kind of in the style of old-time radio that the four of us have been doing for 20 years.
Yeah.
We have a 20th anniversary logo.
Yeah, we have if you're listening to this during the drive, we've still got the LA show. There may be tickets left. We've got Chicago coming up, New York and London. We're going to be doing panels in there. Who knows what else will pop up? But it is kind of nice to do this. It's the 10th anniversary of We Got This, the 20th anniversary of the Thrilling Adventure Hour. And there are tons of different segments, some of which made it to podcast. I think there are some that never made it to podcast. I don't know. Did Ben Chapman did we ever put that out in audio? Oh, we did put that out.
Early on, yeah.
Oh, no, wait. Desdemona Hughes, that one made it out too?
Desdemona Hughes
so everything has been committed. People who are listeners to the Thrilling Adventure Hour have heard likely all of the different segments. I was just thinking back to the early attempts to try to record it. So I think we tried to record it probably around 2008, maybe even a little bit earlier. You would try to get recordings when we were doing it at a small supper club called the M Bar. And then those didn't go through. But it's like the energy of those shows are like lost to history, which is interesting because it's for people who came to see the show month after month. It was really like the two of you figuring out what the format was.
Acker?
Some of those got put out over the course of the time. We had 1 month that got properly recorded. So we were able to, as like bonus content or along the way, like people were able to hear our Hamburg, Germany style origins.
Mm-hmm.
And when did you
also in moving to the next venue,
right?
When we moved to Largo, we were able to apply years of experience writing the show to those original pieces. So in some form or another, they've heard, I think all we've had.
Right.
Because there was a soft reboot when we moved over to Largo, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll also say there is video that exists from those first few years, maybe as early as the second or third show that we ever did in 2005. We've made some of it available to our Patreon subscribers, which is over at patreon.com/thrillingadventurehour, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it was fun sort of digging through the archives and seeing what we could give those folks. And yeah, there's some old audio, there's some old video. It was 20 years ago, guys.
It's amazing. Yeah.
We were babies.
The video, like because I have these videos and I love these videos of I think it was the second show from that one onward. But I was like, man, you're not film. You're not supposed to fade. Why is all the color so muted? I was like, do digital videos, if you leave a digital video on the same spot too long, it does that like roar thing.
We'll tackle best video format in the next episode.
Yes.
Great.
Two-parter.
It was just that it was so low-fi there. Like the lighting wasn't great. It was just hard to shoot.
Quicker than we figured out how to shoot it.
Yeah, exactly.
At what point, because I remember early on we had like Derek Hughes doing Presto Prescott, the preeminent professor of prestidigitation, I think was his title. So he would do like a full-blown magic act for radio, but actually for a live audience because it was just a stage show at that point. But as it changed over time,
that never made it to podcast.
That never made it to podcast, nor did my filling in for him and doing a fake magic act around the audience,
which was fantastic.
Can we just close this episode out with that was the best bit?
Yes,
I mean, nobody. Oh gosh, you guys, you really should have seen this. It was pretty amazing. I mean, as the bits go, it was easily the best.
Yeah,
easily. Yeah,
I'm curious at what point do you two feel like you kind of nailed down the format you wanted to use that we did for the majority of the run?
I think it was the 6th month, honestly. The first month was way more theater of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
The mess that was providing the sound guy at M-Bar with CDs that had sound effects and scoring stuff and hoping some of it aligned.
Was CDs was what you guys were using?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Burned things from the internet and from like just, scoring that we liked from other things. And it was messy. It was messy. And then when we got Joel Spence.
Sound effects Joe.
Mm-hmm.
It was sort of within those first 6 months, like the cast solidified. Hal, you and Annie came in, Craig came in, the sound effects were solidified with Joel, and the Andy Paley Orchestra started within those first 6 months.
Evan came in the 5th month.
Yeah.
With a Sparks theme and some Sparks songs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Gruber brought Paley to see the show and go, they don't have a music guy. Do you want to be that music guy? So we started having a teeny tiny orchestra and sound effects. And we knew, we figured out to play for comedy and not for theater of the mind. And the cast solidified and the audience was coming out.
Yeah. It was very much it was a cool alchemy of all of those things coming together. Yeah. And also some things that felt like the name, the Andy Paley Orchestra, really was just called that because it was a tiny group on a stage.
Right.
Like the name came about because of the ridiculousness of it being that size, which I love.
Yes, at the time the show was called The Thrilling Adventure and Supernatural Suspense Hour.
Yeah. When did that drop? I forgot
when we moved to Largo, we got to take away the name that was a funny joke, but hard to remember.
Yeah. Back when it was called Tashish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who could forget? Now I was going to say when it locked in at that 6 month mark, I always felt like we all knew we had something really special that we were doing. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that we finally got recordings that work that we're able to get out there. Cause obviously the fact that we can still do the show 20 years later is a big deal. And it blows my mind that there are people who are very big fans of the show who have maybe only listened to Sparks or only listened to Beyond Belief or Laserbeam or what have you, who have never seen the show. I always think of that as that's not the way the show's meant to be digested. There's a whole conceit to it where you come in and it feels a little bit like you're watching a radio show being recorded, but really we're playing to you, but also stuff that's going to work for the audience and them being able to hear people who are listening at home, hearing where the laughs are and hearing those pauses when something physical's happening or the gasp when Croach dies on stage and Mark throws himself into it. Like that, there's no better advertisement for trying to come see the show live, which was almost impossible in LA because we just had people who would come every month because they loved it.
Yeah, we were really lucky. You know, we got enough word. I think we figured out what the show was early enough, and we got enough good word of mouth that we, you know, started selling out that small venue. Then we started selling out multiple shows at that small venue. So we moved to Largo and we started podcasting in 2010, which is pretty early for podcasting.
Yeah.
And I remember like, we didn't know if anyone was listening. We didn't like the show was a live experience. And the people experiencing the show through podcast did not experience it in the same way. So the first time we went to New York, which I just pulled up some of those emails because I was looking for something. And Paul F. Tompkins, who has been part of the show from the beginning, and John Hodgman, who had guested or he liked the show and wanted to bring us to New York, were convincing me that this show will play in New York. Don't worry. Like, you don't have to get Stephen Colbert to be a guest star in it. People will come because the show is the star. And I didn't know. Like, we didn't know how it would go. And like Mark Evan Jackson tells this story about the first time we played. And the Andy Paley Orchestra started playing the Sparks Nevada theme song. And the crowd went crazy. And they started singing along. And Jackson was backstage. We were standing backstage and he was like, thank God. Like, he could breathe a sigh of relief. They know who we are. We don't have to sell the show to them. We can just all have a good time. And it's been that ever since.
Yeah, the gauge is always the pow for me.
Right?
When it gets to that point in the Sparks Nevada theme song, when the whole crowd goes, pow, that's when I look out and you can see, and when it's a sea of fists that go up in the air.
But I was going to say also, like, and Hal alluded to this, the people who have only listened to the podcast and not seen the live show haven't experienced the show in what it fully is, right? Because part of the fun of the show is these multiple segments. You know, each section is a genre comedy story. And usually there are 3 segments in a show, in a live show. And for folks listening to the podcast, like you say, maybe they've only heard Sparks or maybe they've only heard Beyond Belief. I think it's a different animal when you're kind of along for that ride.
And you've also got the commercials in between as well to fill in the gaps and give little, palate cleansers between. It seems to me like, and tell me if I'm way off base with this, it seems like the segments that are podcasted are the singles and the live show is the concept album. You know what I mean?
That's what we always said. That's how we've,
Yeah. This feels like a 2-horse race, basically, between Beyond Belief and Sparks. Those are the 2 far and away most popular. There may be another one that sneaks in there. I can't imagine it. So
some hollerheads.
Yes, some hollerheads. Absolutely. Is there a segment for each of you? I'd love to hear. I'll start with you, Acker. That is a favorite of yours that is not one of those 2. And what is it about that segment that makes it a favorite?
Hal, thanks for asking.
You're welcome.
The silly answer is that, like, really, most of the time, whatever I'm writing at the moment is my favorite thing. It's just like how it's a cop out. No, Beyond Belief and Sparks are the best.
Sure.
And for different reasons, right? Like, some of the fun of Sparks is getting to arc out a multi-episode serialized thing. And part of the fun of Beyond Belief is never doing that, you know?
But still maintaining a long memory. Like, the lore of Beyond Belief allows you to bring characters back, even if it's not a full, there aren't necessarily full arcs, but the Hendersons were there a bunch. Like, there have been a whole bunch of different characters that have shown up multiple times to create sort of a fuller world. But is there, Acker, I'm going to press you. Just give me one that's not the 2 of them. And that's the right answer, by the way. Whatever you're working on in the moment should be your favorite. You should love, obviously there's still a joy in writing. And I know how excited you get when you break something or come up with a solve. But outside of those 2 segments, what is a favorite of yours? What comes to mind when I ask that and why?
I might be a hollerhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
It gets to be the most Byzantine dialogue of any of the pieces. It's the beautiful dumb of taking 30 words to say a 2-word sentence. It's a joy to watch you, Hal, and Craig together. Like, that chemistry is fantastic. Like, it's sublimely silly. There was an episode that we decided to do it in iambic pentameter.
Oh, we all remember that. I was just about to bring it up.
So
The
great.
meanest thing you ever did, but also one of the best.
It was great. Like, what a great chat. Like, what a
It
gift.
was so fun.
First of all,
So
the gift,
fun.
just to perform any of it.
Before you get to
Go ahead, please.
your hand in it, let me just say, when I decided to do it, it was daunting and exciting, and I was looking forward to the process, but also anticipating being terrible at it. Blacker went on a flight, cross-country flight, and landed, and it was done. He did all of the heavy lifting. It was my favorite thing I've ever written. Barely touched it and got just as much credit as if I had was all over that page.
It's non-repeatable. It was a confluence of events that led to being able to write that episode.
What was the confluence of events?
Yeah.
I was still teaching high school at the time, and I was teaching Macbeth, I believe. So I was living with that language in my head all the time and constantly talking about it. And Ben and I were also super into Deadwood, which was currently running.
Mm-hmm.
So we were watching that. And that flight was, I was teaching in Italy for the summer. And so I had flown to Italy, and my wife she was like a week behind me. And so I flew out and I sat in this coffee shop every morning and wrote this episode because all of that stuff was swirling in my brain. And then sent it off to him.
I have the mythology wrong. In my head, you were clapping out the syllables.
No, but there was something about being in a place where I didn't speak the language. Like I could only order a coffee, but otherwise I was really on my own.
Yeah.
And so all I had was the language in my head.
Yeah.
It's maybe my favorite single episode of anything in this. It is.
Well, that's a whole other
standalone
episode,
fantastic.
Mark.
Right. Yeah. It was like acting camp because it's so well written. I mean, everything you guys write is great. And you have a group of actors that sort of get like the shorthand of what you think is funny, and the deliveries are not obvious, but like you just like we're in the pocket for those rhythms. So to have something like that, let's throw iambic pentameter on top of it. And there are easily like dramatic moments that we don't quite hit over melodrama. Like now, can you play this like an actual piece of Shakespeare? I loved that challenge because it felt like I can, if I've done this, I've leveled up somehow internally.
You guys all killed it, genuinely. Like it really was a fun episode.
Blacker, same question to you. What is the segment outside of those two heavy hitters that is a favorite that comes to mind when I ask that question?
I have, especially in the past few years, really loved writing Captain Laserbeam and watching Captain Laserbeam, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is, because Sparks is actually it's deceptively deep. It's very much about the character and the changes this character goes through. And because Beyond Belief really just plays with tropes more than anything else, Laserbeam feels very freeing to write. There are more parameters to it. There's a kind of a set structure to it, but within those parameters, the only job is to make each other and then you guys laugh. And when we do that, it's worthwhile.
Well, that I think is so great about that. Like you said, within those parameters, trying to make us laugh, it's pretty easy with the parameters you've set up, knowing that frequently there's going to be an amazing list and there's going to be some sort of high drama with the Adventure Cateers.
Right. Yeah,
just those two categories alone, the details inside them are always so fun.
I love the Adventure Cateers. I love finding like the dumbest thing that they take so seriously.
Oh, it's so fun
for their whatever relationship they have between them. And then like, honestly, part of the fun, especially lately, of Captain Laserbeam is using Hal as Philip Fathom more because he's such a funny, serious character in this very silly world, like putting, Nolan's Batman into a cartoon. It's really fun.
Yeah, one of the best gifts I ever received professionally and personally was Christopher Maloney not being able to make rehearsal in San Francisco. Because I don't know that he comes back otherwise, or I don't know that it would be me. But yeah, I love that character, and I love the Christmas episode you wrote. That's the night before Christmas with another here's the challenge of this is the night before Christmas, but it is a superhero caper about Philip Fathom learning the true meaning of family. Yeah. Those are two great ones. I mean, Mark, are there any that you want to throw out there that you love that are little segments?
There are, but we're going to take a quick pledge break and we'll be right back and talk more about these middle segments. Until then, let's talk more about the MaxFunDrive, shall we? We'll be right back. Hal, I'm sad. MaxFunDrive is almost over. I love MaxFunDrive.
Can you do that
It is
like
the
Brain
time-
Games?
What's that?
Do it like Brain Games?
What's Brain Games?
MaxFunDrive is almost over. You didn't watch Brain Games on HBO?
No. I think I may have a few times, but there were so many of those. There were so many educational shows on HBO when we were kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Encyclopedia. I loved Encyclopedia.
Whenever I think of things being sad and over, that's what I think. So I think MaxFunDrive is almost over, but there's still time left.
Now you're making me sadder, Hal.
Yeah.
There is still time left. MaxFunDrive ends on Friday, March 28th. This is the second week of MaxFunDrive. You know what? This is our 9th MaxFunDrive together.
It is.
Wow. Because that's the thing. We live in Los Angeles and there's really no concept of time because the weather never really changes visibly all that much.
True.
So, this is how I mark time every year. 9 years, man. This has been so fun. And it's all because of the membership that has come through and supported our show and become members at the $5 a month level or upgraded it to 10 or even boosted from a $5 a month level. All of that support is why we've been doing this show for 9 years, brother. Almost 10.
Unbelievable.
And that's why we've been doing this show for 9 cycles of MaxFunDrive.
Plus.
Yeah, plus. It's almost 10 years.
If you're listening to this and you're not familiar with MaxFunDrive, Maximum Fun Network is a listener-supported network. And that means the current contributions set up through your membership are what supports and keeps our show going. And all it takes is $5 a month. And during our drive, there are all sorts of cool gifts you get for that. You get bonus content at higher levels. You get pins. There's all sorts of fun stuff for you. But the most important thing, the greatest gift you can take away from this is knowing that art you care about gets to keep going because of your support. That's the greatest gift you can get from any of this. Everything else is awesome, but really the way you feel when you take ownership in something that you love that comes to you free of charge every week anyway. Mm-hmm. That's something that I always struggle to really describe, but I always think it's important to say it because people who are members would tell you themselves how good it feels to be an even deeper part of the community of Maximum Fun and the community of our show. We Got This with Mark and Hal, and it lets us do all sorts of things, including continuing to produce the show on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Hal, because right now we are living through interesting times and quite often our money is being spent on things that we don't know how our money is being spent. And in some ways we wouldn't like how our money is being spent. This is the most direct way you can say, this is what I want to support. I want to support it as directly as possible. So I'm going to become a member of a worker owned co-op. That's the beauty of Max Fun. You know how the Green Bay Packers are owned by the fans? Max Fun is kind of the Green Bay Packers of the podcast world. And I really love that. It means we don't have corporate overlords. How? Nobody's telling us, hey, we're going to shelve this episode because of XYZ advertiser. No, you can't say this. We're going to move this around. No, we're making the show we want to make. And it's because of the membership of Maximum Fun. Really, it's because of all of the people of the world who listen and all of the people of the world who listen to We Got This. On behalf of that wonderful, brilliant, kind, smart, funny, argumentative group, may I say to the membership of Maximum Fun, thank you for making this show possible for all of us to listen to. If you are in a position where you can jump from listener of the show to member who helps everyone listen to the show every week, visit MaximumFun.org/join and make sure you check the box that says We Got This.
That's right. Will you please join us as a member? Please? That sounded aggressive, but it actually was loving. MaximumFun.org/join. You can become a member for the first time. You can upgrade your membership for new gifts, or you can boost if that is what you're capable of doing at the moment. It's also a great time for those who are upgrading or boosting to update the shows that they listen to make sure that all of those shows are benefiting, including ours. Make sure our box is checked. If you don't like to do monthly, if that's not your thing, you can prepay for a year just by hitting the prepay toggle at the top of the page when you visit MaximumFun.org/join. You absolutely are the ones that make this show possible with your support. And now back to the show.
All right, let's jump back in. I know you started to ask my favorite. I'll get yours as well, Hal. But then I wanted to look at a couple of ways to break this down that have been done for us already. First of all, I will say Tales from the Black Lagoon. It was my favorite thing I got to do of a middle segment. The noir was great. The way it all wrapped up was great. It was heartfelt. It was the funny. I think the.
You wanna? Sorry, Mark. Shut up for a second.
20 years.
You're right.
20 years.
Mark, do you want to, in one sentence, tell people what that was, and then Ben tell the story about Gags finding that voice?
All right.
Sure. Tales from the Black Lagoon was part of the Hollywood Noir trilogy. It was Ben Chapman, the voice of the creature from the Black Lagoon, is framed for murder and has to go around 1950s Hollywood to clear his good name. Was that concise?
It was almost there. We'll get it in.
Okay.
Ish. Yeah. We'll cut it down.
He was the voice of the creature from the Black Lagoon. Anyway.
Yes. Did I say the voice?
That's right. You know how the Gill man
he just went for all of his lines.
How did you find that? Tell the story, Ben.
Use of fire. So when we wrote it, before we had done any shows, we had a bunch of rehearsal time before we launched Thrilling Adventure and Supernatural Suspense Hour. And we wrote this two-fisted, noirish, Robert Mitchum voice narrator for this segment in the middle, and Mark was going to play it, and Mark kept at every rehearsal not giving us Robert Mitchum. And so we gave him Robert Mitchum. We gave him the DVD of, what's the one? Night of the Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, Mark, on the night of the show, I'm going to give you some options, and one of them will be a pitch perfect Robert Mitchum. And then that night, you gave me the opposite voice, which was
Ben Chapman. Oh,
that's right. That's he's mostly said his name.
Yeah.
And it was right. It was the opposite of what we were looking for, and it felt right. And I grabbed Blacker and said, "Do it again. Do it for him." And you did it, and it was right. And you told me, "Yeah, day one of acting school, class one. You don't need to do what's on the page. It's on the page. Find the furthest thing away from it, so that everything in between is a level you can play." And that felt like a giant lesson for us moving forward.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
I was actually in a cafe in Italy every morning working on that.
You didn't speak the language.
I put you in acting school. I put Black on a plane. It's artist's prerogative.
It's just Mark making fun of rural Italians. That's what they all sound like to him, which is really mean.
It's
your country.
I'd like some prosciutto.
Yeah.
Oh, Modena. This is where the balsamic comes from.
They're very offended, Mark.
Yeah, my people. What about you, Hal?
I love Desdemona Hughes just because it's such a fun, dumb conceit that she is the world's greatest actor who comes in and just plays different roles to get people to confess. I feel like at one point, I don't know if I pitched myself for it or what, that I wanted to be like her Professor Moriarty, or I come in and play a bunch of different people. It never happened, but
I think we only did like two or three episodes of
That's
Desmond
right, yeah.
Hughes.
Oh,
those were
Hughes
hard to write,
good.
but they were so stupid.
Yeah. They were crazy stupid and hilarious. That's why I think, because it's rare, it's like a deep cut.
Mm-hmm. And an earned swear. One of the only really well-earned swears on the show.
What? Remind me, what was it?
It was by the third time we had done Desdemona Hughes in the show. And I don't remember if it was Craig or
It had
Paul.
to be. It was Craig.
It was Craig. But when, because it was always, she would rip the disguise off and say, "It is I, Detective Desdemona Hughes." And it was always, she'd rip the disguise off. It was, Desdemona Hughes. And by the final time, it was, she rips the disguise off and it was, "God, Desdemona Hughes." And we all lost it. It's very, very funny.
It turned out that whatever segment we're talking about, also my favorite.
Oh, see, this is going to be tough.
Except for Desdemona Hughes.
By the way,
that one you hate, yeah.
Craig Kukowski is the only cast member with dispensation to swear. He can swear whenever he wants in the show.
Yeah, because he'll pick the right time to do it. It'll be the perfect, like he's a comedy sniper. He knows
he really
exactly
is. He's a scalpel guy.
Yeah, just incredible. Like,
should we do favorite cast member?
It's Craig.
No, it's Craig. It's easy, Craig. That's easy.
Come on.
All right. So this is not from us, though we do frequently break things down into categories. This is from whoever is in charge of editing our fandom wiki. So this is from our fandom wiki. And I never thought it's Craig.
Yeah,
I've never really seen it broken down like this, but
We Got This fandom wiki?
Though, yes, the We Got This fandom wiki.
No, I'm
the
genuinely
Thrilling
asking.
Adventure Hour. The Thrilling Adventure Hour fandom wiki.
Okay.
So we have, I've never seen it put like this before. We have multiple universes. We have the Captain Laserbeam universe, the Sparks Nevada universe, and the Chrono Patrol universe. Like you said, beyond belief, pretty strictly its own world, its own thing.
Well, how do we
on.
not? How do we not talk about Jefferson Reed and Amelia
That's in the
Earhart?
Chrono Patrol universe.
Oh my god, and TikTok. I mean,
Because all of this is what I'm talking about. So which of these universes, let's talk about all these universes in turn. We've got the Laserbeam universe, which we just talked a little bit about. We'll get to the Sparks Nevada universe when we talk about Sparks. And then let's go into the Chrono Patrol universe. That's the Algonquin 4, the Cross-Time Adventures of Colonel TikTok, Amelia Earhart, Fearless Flyer, and Jefferson Reed, Ace American. The Algonquin 4 was so fun. There's so many of these are just fun, dumb, do it a couple of time pieces.
Some of them were like Algonquin 4, I think, was first in a Colonel TikTok episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had so much fun with it. We spun it off into one of its own segments. But I think we only did it once.
Amelia was as well. Wasn't Amelia Earhart first appeared?
No.
She was her own part of the Chrono Patrol.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Amelia is also really one of my favorites. I think, like, it's our Doctor Who. Even more than Colonel TikTok was, and I'm not sure what the difference is.
TikTok
is our Eccleston Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Is our kind of Doctor Who.
And like a big part of it is just what Autumn Reeser brings to the part. Like she made that part her own, complete with costume.
Oh yeah.
And like she's just a fun character to write. She has levels to her in a way that some of the lighter segments don't. And also it's a fun, I feel like the Amelia segments are plotted just enough. You know, like there's just enough story in them to get more silliness than story.
Yeah. And just to get to see tiny Autumn up there in her jodhpurs and goggles, you know, still with this tiny kind of voice that's this very, very perky voice, play this character that is somehow 10 feet tall and just an absolute action hero. So that I think so many of these segments, it's the character at the front and the performer at the front that really drives it. That really drives
definitely
home.
not the writing.
Definitely not the writing. Yeah.
I also love like the timey, like how much you make fun of the timey-wimey stuff of like, why don't we just go back to then? If only it were that simple. Like, I think it's a fun, one thing you guys have always done well, and I think is the reason why the show remains popular, remains around, people are aware of it, is like tearing apart genre while also somehow like acknowledging, like going, this is stupid stuff about it rather than this is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
I mean, it all comes from a place of love. Like we love this stuff. We love these genres. I love Westerns. I love horror stuff. And so like all of it is just getting to play in those playgrounds in the way we know how.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which gets to be character first, actor first. Like these people don't buy the silly stupid, or they do, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the beauties of it, I think, is that all of the different segments have their bonkers realities, but everybody is truthful within those realities.
We try to keep them human. Yeah.
Yeah. They're humans within whatever reality they're in, even if
when
they
they're
are
not human.
Yeah, exactly.
I also want to say, I want to pull Hal's quote out and put it on one of our tour posters, but the Thrilling Adventure Hour, people are aware of it.
People are aware of it.
And then like a big period at the end of that.
Someone please make that.
Yeah. Those will be the mugs. They'll be available. Julie will be in lobbies all around the world.
I would hang that poster on my wall.
I would too.
People are aware of it, credited to a guy in the show.
A guy. And people will go, oh, Craig said that?
Well, he is the favorite.
He would have said people are effing aware of it.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, only
he's allowed.
can.
Yeah. Let's talk about Jefferson Reed, Ace American.
Sure.
many people have been Jefferson Reed Ace American.
Let's just set the stage here. Let's remember to set the stage, Mark. Jefferson Reed Ace American is our take on two-fisted Nazi punching Captain America type hero.
Yes, thank you. Now the stage is set for, and again, every performer has brought something different to it.
Didn't Paul do it first? He was the first one to play him in M-Bar.
Paul, then,
but most famously, Urbaniak did
Billion,
But he's
and now Sam Richardson.
Yes. No?
Nope.
No, Sam Richardson is Laserbeam.
Yep.
Laserbeam.
But it was that was like Nathan's role. That was his, that and Cactuar Jim were his two of his.
At the stage, say a last name.
Oh, Nathan Fillion.
And that genuinely came from James Urbaniak had done it a couple times at M-Bar, and then when we moved to Largo, we were rerunning Ace American. We've only written 3 Ace Americans.
Really?
Yeah. We rerun them a bunch of times with different actors.
Oh, that's why it feels different. Sure.
And they're like, I really love all 3 of those episodes. I think they're really fun. So we were going to rerun one at Largo for the first time. And James got sick before the show. He had to cancel doing the show. And we were like, oh no, we need someone like to do, this was like our 3rd month, I want to say, at Largo. Like, we need someone to play this part. Who is the most American actor we can think of? And so I think it was through Marissa Tancherowen we reached out to Nathan.
The Canadian.
The Canadian Nathan Fillion. And we told him, like, this is what the show is. Here's what the script is. Can you come to Paget's and rehearse? You'll be a surprise guest. Although that wasn't true, right? Because he tweeted it. I think we told him that, but then he tweeted it because the rehearsal was so much fun. And honestly, like, it was having Nathan in the show that changed the show. Like, he helped an audience find our show because there was a lot of crossover audience between our show and Firefly and the kind of stuff he was doing. And that Comic-Con audience. So it was a big deal getting Fillion for that. And it came from, like, this is the best guy for the part. And he really was. Like, he absolutely killed it.
Just fantastic.
It was June of 2010. Yeah. And that was when we found our Largo sea legs too.
Yeah.
First Dave Foley episode. His daughter came out in cat face. Like, she had gone to the carnival that day and had cat makeup. So during the thank yous, everyone was happy that Fillion was there, that Foley was there.
It was a sold out house.
Yeah.
But the star of the show was
the cat.
Alina, yeah.
Sure, of course.
Rex Flagwell is from Jefferson Reed Ace American.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, one of my favorite little anecdotes about the show is Rex Flagwell's catchphrase came from a little container of snack on Ben Acker's table. That snack was called Sweet Cajun Fire.
I just had an audition recently, and I just lifted DiMaggio's Rex Flagwell voice. I was like, I haven't used this in an audition yet, nor have I really done it because Jackson took over later on. I was like, oh yeah, I've been dying to break this out because it's such a good voice that you don't want to do anything else.
Set the stage.
I didn't get it.
I had been to Whole Foods.
Yeah. He had been to Whole Foods. Yeah. Which is, fun fact, a cafe in Italy.
Yeah. And that's what they all sound like.
You were doing it with...
No, they were. I was just my memory was like General Rex Flagwell because everything had that little on the end of it. Sweet
there's always a vowel at the end.
It's really good.
Ace American. So such a good voice. And then Jackson does it brilliantly as well. But you can't, that is one, there are characters like Laserbeam where different actors have inhabited the role and play it differently. Even if there are sort of shades where they cross over, it is a different character each time, which became, that was like the running joke originally, is that different actors had played the actual in world, different actors had played Captain Laserbeam. Isn't that right?
I believe it.
He was like it was Holmes Osborne originally. Wasn't he the first?
No, he was
Sparks.
He was the first Sparks.
He was the first Sparks.
Yeah.
Never did
pre-Thrilling Adventure Hour. He played Sparks. Yeah.
So we were talking about a segment where lots of actors have played the roles. Let's jump to our main segment, one of our main segments. And that is one where, yes, 2 people have played Frank, one for the vast majority of the run. And that is the incomparable Paul F. Tompkins. There is no one who can play Sadie Doyle like Paget Brewster.
You won't allow it?
Let's talk about Beyond Belief. I don't know what that was literally, I just pulled the ripcord. I was like, talk about Beyond Belief. I grabbed the little pull string on Woody's back and let it go and just expected something to happen.
Mark. This is your first podcast. Beyond Belief is
I usually have your scripts.
Beyond Belief is a segment of the show. It is like The Thin Man with Ghosts. It's about Frank and Sadie Doyle, played by Paul F. Tompkins and Paget Brewster, a married couple who love each other and love drinking, and that is it. But they are constantly set upon by supernatural beings or beings affected by the supernatural who need their help.
Was that a you idea that you brought to Acker? Did you break it together, or was it an Acker idea that he brought to you?
I had written a pilot that was got a pair of married mediums. She had died. He was drinking himself to death to join her. It was real. I'm 21 and Hunter Thompson's the best writer. It was fine. Mm-hmm. And then Blacker said, well, what if we set it in their marriage and it's The Thin Man with Ghosts for the purposes of the stage show? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And it's brilliant. It's so good. And the writing is great. Then the timing of the actors is great. And one of the things that also evolved over the time of the show is, you know, I'm sure as writers, you create something and then the actors come in and do it. And then when you're continuing doing those characters again, everybody sort of adjusts to everybody. So you can write for Paget and Paul knowing what they're going to deliver. And then it's just the growth together of writers and performers is what makes it so good.
But mostly writers.
But mostly writers. Yeah, they're not here.
The thing about that's one thing I wanted to say about Beyond Belief that I think is really one of its huge strengths. And you guys know this, but if you handed me 2 highlighters and a script with none of the character names in it, I could go through and easily highlight all of Frank and Sadie's lines, divide them. You know what I mean? Like, you know those characters so well and their points of view are so specific and so clear that it feels like if there's a moment where you think to yourself, Frank would have said something there and doesn't, it feels weird. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and then by the next draft, he's throwing something in there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Paul will let you know.
No, but
that is such a great, sorry, go ahead.
Part of the fun of the show in its entirety, like we had talked about the live show experience, is that, you know, all of you actors can do anything and kind of you do get to do everything. Especially over the course of a whole show. Part of the fun of Beyond Belief is we can give any line to Paul and Paget and they will kill it. Mm-hmm. Like a half-baked joke, they will fully bake, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes for the rhythm of the thing, I'll go, okay, it needs to be Frank, then Sadie, then Frank, then Sadie, but I've written it the other way around. And so I'll go in and switch the names and then I'll look at the lines and go, Mark will have been right. This line doesn't work. I gotta put it in the voice. And sometimes, and I know Blacker does this too. Sometimes when you're writing Frank and Sadie, you will accidentally write Paul and Paget.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
We both get drafts from each other. And, you know, like Final Draft has the autofill for characters. And so if you look at the list of autofill, oftentimes you will see like PA in there. It's because one or the other of us has started writing Paul or Paget. And like we do it all the time. They are their characters.
Mm-hmm.
Is Beyond Belief more or less of a challenge to write as compared to Sparks? Because Sparks, you basically break a season. You break an arc of episodes so you know where the story's going, and that allows you to maybe fill it in differently. But as opposed to Beyond Belief, where it's
one and done,
essentially monster of the week. What is that more of a challenge because you don't have the guide and you don't want to repeat stuff, or what? How does that affect the process?
I don't think one is any more of a challenge than the other.
Okay.
They each have their challenges with inherent to like those things. Like Sparks, the urge is to write for a cast of 30 recurring characters and give them all, you know, a reason to be in the episode. And Frank and Sadie is hard sometimes because like there's really no threat to them often. And so finding out like what to put in danger and how to raise stakes on characters who feel no stakes, you know?
And I think that speaks to the difference in like ideating each of the segments. Like Beyond Belief tends to start with, what is our take on this horror trope? And Sparks starts with, what do we want to do to Sparks? Like one is about character, the other is about story. Because Frank and Sadie don't change.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's part of the fun of them. They are Bugs Bunny or the Marx Brothers, like they are there to be smarter than everyone and funnier than everyone.
Yeah, they're kind of like a Greek chorus. They're there to sort of guide you through it. Not necessarily, but
you
they're
want to take
like
that out?
no. Ken, put it in twice. Yeah, they are facilitators of the story rather than the story themselves. It's whoever's showed up at their door and what's going on there, and their involvement is to the extent of how quickly they can get them out the door and get things back to one.
Yeah, hitting on like even as we brought in new writers in the past 5 years or so who are writing, we're doing little writers' rooms for the show and they're writing drafts for us, like telling them that if Frank's only desire is to get this vampire out of his house, that's an okay goal for a character.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Simpler the better sometimes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Once you know what characters want, then you're not really doing stuff to them, but you sort of are because you're creating people that won't leave quickly.
Right.
And so they have to try to solve the Rubik's Cube in record time to get them out. So it's not personal torture for them above and beyond the inconvenience of somebody interrupting their alone drinking time.
Well, they are characters who want to maintain the status quo. And the status quo is the two of them alone drinking in their apartment and with no interruption. So the entire goal of an episode becomes get rid of this interruption. And hopefully we can keep making it entertaining.
It always feels fun and a little bit naughty when they actually get invested in the story.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right.
Let's talk about those interruptions because we love Frank and Sadie. We know we love Frank and Sadie and we know what we love about Frank and Sadie. Let's jump over to some of those characters that have interrupted through the years. Have been some of my favorite characters ever to show up because they show up for this one-off episode, gobble up the scenery, and then never appear again. Or sometimes they do come back if you're the Donna Hendrickson and the vamp.
Henderson.
What's her name? Henderson. Thank you.
Wow. Spoken like a true Sparks cast member.
Yeah.
Who's it? Donna Hendrickson? Yeah.
Oh,
fine.
Yeah.
Cute.
Look, I'm usually eating pizza during
Gags, you
Beyond
have
Belief.
played one of the all-time great Beyond Belief characters who has made multiple appearances.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters, Carlisle
Ravencastle.
Ravencastle, Dark Husband to the Midnight. All of the unnecessary flourishes of the vampire characters in Beyond Belief is so much fun.
Hal, will you give us a taste of Carlisle Ravencastle, Dark Husband of the Midnight?
Carlisle Ravencastle, Dark Husband to the Midnight.
Perfect.
It's close. It's pretty close.
Night. That's what it
Good to know.
is.
Night. That's his catchphrase. Night.
ABA, always be auditioning. Yeah, that's great. I figured we were going to segue to talk about AG, who broke the cast
You
more
broke
than
the show.
anybody ever. Yeah.
That was, we couldn't go back after that.
Oh.
I think the actors in the episode where Steve Agee played an uncharacteristic non-supernatural monster, a Texas Chainsaw Massacre type named Cinnamon, and had trouble with his glasses, the lights, and the script all coming together so that he could do it. So he broke every single one of these professional actors, like professional in the sense that they don't break. And I think there is still a text thread with that cast that every once in a while is kept alive by just someone going, thought of this, ha ha ha.
Yep.
That's great.
Oh.
That's the magic of AG, though. He's just so funny. I remember Vine was big in like 2011, 2012, and he was all over creating Vines. And he made one that I will never forget where he took the empty pizza boxes and then coming from backstage on the 3 steps up to the backstage area, he tripped and made them fly everywhere. And it was the funniest, like you knew what he was going to do. And it was the funniest thing to see live.
If we can make this the best Steve Agee bit, I would put his Baba Ganoush Instagram stories there with Weekend Dracula all day long.
Weekend Dracula, that's right.
Oh, Lord.
Other notable guest monsters, the skeleton guys.
I love those skeleton guys.
Yeah.
They were two dumb skeletons who were played by...
They just wanted organs so that they could fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Adam Savage and Rich Sommer, right? Was the first time we did it. And we loved them so much that we brought them back, which they shouldn't have been.
We've written so many simpletons on the show, but I think that those two guys are like the apex simpletons.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the biggest ones is Nightmares the Clown.
The Frankenstein girls. Nightmares the Clown.
Oh, yeah, Nightmares.
Up to a big one. We'll go right past the Genies episode.
Oh, sure.
You can't go past the Genies episode. ABG, always be granting. Always grant.
Are there any memorable stories involved with that Genies episode?
None that
of course.
Told 100 times.
Yep.
You mean Joe Mantegna not realizing that it was Mamet?
That's not what happened, Hal.
What was it? Tell the story.
So we did this episode about genies, and it was sort of a Glengarry Glen Ross riff about genies who had to grant wishes. So Ben, go ahead.
So we gave Mantegna his choice of which genie he wanted to play, and he chose the Alec Baldwin genie. And it became clear in the rehearsal that the Alec Baldwin part of Glengarry Glen Ross that had been written for the movie was not in the original stage show, but Joe was. So that mattered least in the world of anyone it mattered to. It mattered least to him. We had a line in the movie. It's what? Put that coffee down. And in our show it was put that martini down, because Frank and City are lovable drunks. And so he wasn't right in the rehearsal. And I was aware that I was going to have to get him to do it right, but not give a line reading to Joe Mantegna, because I know enough to not do that. So I went to the dressing room and I asked Paul, "Hey, Paul, do you remember how he said put that coffee down in the movie?" And Paul delivered it, and everyone knew what I hadn't done and had done. And Joe was like, "Cool, got it," and did it on the night. And I realized like 5 minutes after, I just told him where to put a period in the sentence and got him there without this humiliating exercise. But
Was that more or less humiliating than when you called Josh Molina by his character on
the only time I ever did that in front of the show was when I
we have had 1,000 people come through this show who we are fans of and like have watched on television
and who we detest and have never seen.
Exactly.
But I needed Josh for a rehearsal of the other segment he was in while Blacker was running a rehearsal of the, I think, Sparks on the stage or whatever. And I needed to know if I could grab Josh. And I said, can I grab Jeremy? I didn't even use his West Wing name. And the only one that heard me, because I'm a mumbler, I'm a quiet guy. The only one that heard me was Josh Molina.
The worst person to hear that. Josh would never let anyone forget that.
I'll live on forever.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Nightmares the Clown, very quickly.
Yeah.
Just a brilliant take on it. James Urbaniak. Great.
He just killed that.
So good.
He was so great. He was so great as Nightmares. And Nightmares had a thing that happens so often in Beyond Belief and in Sparks as well that I love, which is this absolute power and status, but one tiny little thing takes him down. Or in the case of Sparks, it's usually an alien that shows up that they are going to blow up the planet so that they can get this one very easy to get item that we could just get for them. Or, you know what I mean? It's always, those are my favorites when it's something so grandiose and something so simple is the ultimate resolution of whatever it is.
Well, I think we always try to keep in mind for any of these segments that like these characters are people, right? What is the human desire behind this thing that like the alien wants something very small and simple and human, but they're going to such comic extremes to try to achieve it.
They've got to service their tropes.
Yeah.
But they just want
100%.
But they just want a hug.
Your trope work in the Beyond Belief monsters is so fun because it's, okay, how do we mine all of the tropes out of this one type of monster? And then by year 10, it was, okay, how do we mine what technically counts as a monster? Is a Mary Poppins a monster? Cool, we'll do a Mary Poppins one.
That was really fun. I think that came out of the Peter Pan idea.
Yeah.
Right, was what if there's a Poppins?
Well, yeah, the whisper of a Poppins and like the way she appears.
It's scary.
I remember in that movie with the wind blowing and like.
Guys, you don't have to sell me on the monsterness of Mary Poppins.
Seriously.
But I also think, like, especially again, like we brought the show back 5 years ago during lockdown, and we did the online shows. And then we've done a bunch of live shows once things opened up. And I think it's kind of always surprising to me that we haven't run out of stuff. You know, like even a year ago, not even, Ben was like, I have this idea for a Hellraiser episode. And that is like, there's stuff that it sort of sits nicely, like the Universal Monster stuff sits very nicely in the Beyond Belief world. More modern horror, it's harder to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
But then he did this Hellraiser episode that was so funny. And so, like, again, it hinged on like the personal dynamics of these pain-loving demons. And then we got a great cast to do it. Like, it was just really funny. Likewise, like, we did another one in that same Beyond Belief night.
Mm-hmm.
Where we were like, what if we throw all of the modern horror tropes at it? So it's Saw and it follows and like a bunch of stuff that I really love that I didn't think would work in Beyond Belief, but somehow just the sheer mass of it works in Beyond Belief.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you've covered 100 years of monsters with Beyond Belief. We have to take one more quick break. We'll come back and talk about Sparks Nevada, Marshall on Mars, and the extended Sparks verse, and then we will decide once and for all people, what the greatest Thrilling Adventure Hour segment is. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
All right, we'll be right back.
You can't say no.
You can't say no. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is MaxFunDrive, there are all sorts of great gifts, but there are also specific goals for our show, and I'm going to talk to you about them because we only have a few days left. Friday, the 28th of March is the last day of Maximum Fun Drive, and who knows where we are with these goals. The only way you can find out is through our social media, because that's where we're talking about it. At 150 new upgrading or boosting members, a special bonus episode will go out on our bonus feed with the great Paget Brewster. At 250, something you have been asking for, best swear word. We will record that episode. It will be available on the bonus feed with special guest John DiMaggio, who has never done his own solo episode. This will be his first solo episode with us. And if we reach 300 new upgrading or boosting members, we will relitigate one episode from our entire catalog. And if you support our show during the drive, the choice of which episode we relitigate might just be yours. Now, at a higher level, at the $10 a month level or more, there are great gifts like pins. Our pin this year, great enamel pin. Last year, our pin was podcasts should have a pin. This year, we have the opposite end of that. Podcasts should not have a pin. You can collect the whole set that you probably didn't even realize you wanted till you saw the original pin. You're getting that. At the $5 a month level, though, that's what we're going to talk about right now. Bonus content, a whole library, all the episodes we've done over the year. Mark, let them know.
Oh, yeah. You get not only all the episodes we've done over the years, you get all of the bonus content from all of Maximum Fun. Once you remember, that is opening up the vault.
Yes.
Of all of the great. Once you become a member, you have no idea the volume of shows that you are going to have. Over 500 episodes of We Got This with Mark and Hal. One of our bonus content episodes that is only available to members of Maximum Fun changed me, Hal. I am a different person because of that episode. There's one very specific thing in the world that I view from a different lens because of that episode. And I have the people of the world to thank for that. The people of the world who listen to the show and the members of Maximum Fun who support the show. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's this year's bonus episode for Max Fun Drive? What are the members going to get to hear? Well, Hal and I, a little bit behind the scenes for you. We have a long spreadsheet that has every topic and who suggested the topic going back for the 9 years, the aforementioned 9 cycles of Max Fun Drives. And some of the topics we've just looked over on the list, and we have skipped past those topics for almost 10 years. Well, Ken rapid fired us in an episode and we got through, I'm going to say like half of them. We burned through so many of those topics, 1 minute long each. I don't remember taking that many laugh breaks in a long time. Boy, was that a marathon. We both looked like Rocky in a training montage by the end of that. Just towels and water all over our face. Just, it was brutal. It was epic, but that's our bonus content for the Max Fun Drive this year. We hope you love it. If you want to get that bonus content, become a member at $5 a month level, MaximumFun.org/join. Make sure you click that box that says, We Got This with Mark and Hal. That's how we benefit directly from your membership. And Max Fun knows that you're supporting our show.
You know, you're thinking about it. So go ahead and do it. And thank you to everybody who has. This show wouldn't be here today. You would not be hearing this message if it was not for the support of all of the people of the world over the years, and now we're asking you to do it once more. And we got good gifts for you. We just told you about them. There are even more. You can find out what all of them are at MaximumFun.org/join. So do it now. We'll wait, and then you can finish this episode. We'll wait for you.
Yeah, we'll wait. Here's what you do. Are you wearing AirPods right now? Okay, just reach up and squeeze one of them. So you get that little click, and it's going to pause. And don't do it right now. Just in a couple of seconds. In a couple of seconds.
Oh.
Well, whoever didn't do it the first time, wait a second when I count to 3. Then do it. Then press on one of your AirPods. And then when you're done visiting MaximumFun.org/join, then come back and press that AirPod again. But do it on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. And thank you. Back to the show.
They didn't hear that part.
No, they clicked back.
Are you sure?
Oh, nope. They accidentally called mom. My mom.
Oh, and now back to the show.
All right. Let's jump in. Sparks, Nevada, Marshall on Mars. My personal favorite, obviously. I feel like I have to recuse myself from this in some way.
Yeah,
me too.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, everybody's leaving. I guess it's Beyond Belief by default.
Always going to be.
Hal, what's Sparks, Nevada, Marshall on Mars?
Sparks, Nevada, Marshall on Mars is a wonderful mashup of the best of the classic cowboy western, the sheriff trying to keep order in a lawless town, and also the sci-fi of it taking place on Mars. There's a Star Trek element. His parents work for the USSA, which is essentially the United Federation of Planets. And his companion is a hey, you wrote it. And his companion is a Martian, indigenous Martian named Croach the Tracker. And
who functions like the Spock.
Yeah.
If we're sticking with the
Star Trek. Ranger meets Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a buddy cop western. It's a buddy cop western set in space. There you go. There's your log line. I'm taking any meetings on that. It's my original idea. This was the start of the Thrilling Adventure Hour, was a script you'd written off of a Malcolm in the Middle spec. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. There was some sort of, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we wrote a Malcolm in the Middle spec, and he went to a Comic-Con and met his hero, who was the guy who played Sparks, Nevada, Marshall on Mars. And along with it came all sorts of gags like robot fists and astro spurs and rocket steed and that kind of thing. And it was, it was just on our to-do list to play with that as its own concept. And we wrote a feature, and Mythology will tell you, we read it in Blacker's living room, and we had the gang that we'd known from Second City and met at Largo, and Holmes Osborne as the star, who lives in Kansas City, so wouldn't be able to do it on the regular. And it was such a successful and good reading. The actors were, as they are now, better than the material. And it was, the seed was planted to exploit our friends and make them do shows. And we have ever since.
Yeah, and that Sparks was sort of this hybrid, genre comedy thing, made us look to do that for the rest of it. Again, it's the stuff we love. So Beyond Belief sort of fell into place in that way. And then Black Lagoon, which was, I think, the first middle segment, similarly, playing with sort of leaning into the old timey stuff, the classic Hollywood stuff.
You mentioned this. I didn't know that Malcolm in the Middle story. I don't know how I've gone 20 years and never heard that story.
Well, we were supposed to never tell Mark.
Yeah. Oh no.
He's going to be so mad.
So you guys, the Thrilling Adventure Hour is all genre. It is a love letter to even the concept of genres. At what point because it's to go from a TV sitcom script to we're writing a genre feature space western, was doing, and I know you guys are comic book guys too, was genre work always the goal, or was it, I'm just going to get work on television and this is my passion, is genre stuff and pop culture and sci-fi and fantasy and all this?
Yeah. I think it's the stuff we grew up with, we were Amblin kids, we were Ghostbusters kids, we were Gremlins kids, all that stuff married great character with genre. And so it really came naturally to us.
And there was no strategy to it.
Fair.
Well, and I'll say, Ben is really good at world building. The Sparks Nevada stuff that was introduced in that Malcolm in the Middle spec was so fully realized that it felt like a show that if it didn't exist, it should. And so we should write that feature.
There is, I mean, I know that theater of the mind is not the goal, but I think with both, really with any segment, you sort of fill in, especially having done it for this long. I have a very good idea of what everything looks like in my head. Sparks especially so, just because there's so much specificity in it, but also, so you can sit this part out, Mark, like it's hard to imagine anybody who could play Sparks or Croach any better than Mark Evan Jackson and Mark Gagliardi. It's like the perfect role for the perfect actor. And talk about people for whom the writing has molded to the performance style, as like Mark Gagliardi is
right here.
Not only one of the best actors I know personally, but just I think the world of him. He scares me in the same way that Annie scares me, in that I feel like I've only seen 30% of what they can do. Like so much talent and so much ability to ground things and make them real. And that's important playing a character like Croach, who is so like fantastic, everything about him. And then Jackson, you will give him an inch of dialogue and he'll turn it into a mile in the best way possible. That you like knew you could just write stuff in and he's going to find his way around it. He'll deliver every joke you want him to, but he's going to find like 10 to 20 more every time he does a read. And the two of them playing off of each other is just, they have, as Paul and Padgett do, as Craig and I, like the chemistry there is just incredible. And watching it play out is what invests people in those characters.
I'll say one other thing if we're talking about Mark Gagliardi, as long as he's not here.
Yep.
When the exposition in anything is so difficult to both write and convey, but we know that we can give Gags any piece of exposition, especially as Croach, but kind of as any character, because Mark understands he takes the time to understand what he's saying and put something on it and like parse the words in order to convey the meaning every single time. And that's not always true of every actor. Like a lot of actors are very instinctive and so can give you a great reading, but they might not be able to convey something else that is needed to convey.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this other thing, if we're eulogizing the late Mark Gagliardi.
Yeah, R.I.P.
I miss him every day. Rest in power, King. That he wears his big dumb heart on his sleeve. So like giving him an emotionless Martian to play, you still the empathy for the character is there because Mark is playing it. Like the heart is there. The emotional core of a story is in every performance from Mark.
Yeah, and that goes for all of his characters. This
makes me very uncomfortable.
Like, there's a reason that, like, we can throw Mark into an Adventure-Cateer or, Carlisle Ravencastle. Is like, that is a character with pathos immediately.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm going to miss the most about Mark is how he helped evolve Croach. Like, Croach's not even search, but like his journey to not become more human, but be more in touch with emotions. And there aren't many people, there's a handful of actors on Earth that can pull off that sort of a long sort of character growth. And he well, yeah, I just still listen to his recordings. It's like he's here with us. On the other hand, Mark Evan Jackson, who plays things so dry, like his innate dryness that he's turned into, I mean, all the work he does. There's a few people who he should be in more stuff than he is. Like, I'm not satisfied with the amount of Mark Evan Jackson on my TV and movie screen.
But also,
guys, I'm back. Can we talk about Mark Evan Jackson now?
Yeah, one of the pleasures of writing for Jackson is like he can turn a syllable into a laugh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like there was a point at which we were, or especially I was, because I think Ben, you and or Jackson told me to stop. Like I was putting in his interruptions to other people's stuff. And
that's how we started.
Yeah.
We read every and interrupted.
Yeah. And they were like, no, he'll just do it. It doesn't have to be in there.
I love that. And I've heard multiple cast members, when talking to new guest stars, point that out. If they're like, so what happens here? And they're like, okay, so hey, just so you know, during your monologue here, Jackson's probably going to be interrupting you a bunch. Yeah. Like, wait, what? You're like, this is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to cut in. I'm going to cut in on this.
It's that marriage of character and person. There is no Sparks Nevada but Mark Evan Jackson. No. It's his name, it's his arc, it's his story, it's everybody. I mean, yes, every character has their arc, but the emotional unavailability that has gone galactic in its story. He's so, I can't say enough great things about Mark Evan Jackson in that. And you guys are very kind for earlier. For me, it's just playing off of Jackson.
Which shows.
And
I mean,
being his sidekick.
The fun that the two of you have together, and Busy too, when Busy Phillips is playing Red Plains Rider, is like the third of your comedy team. Like, it's so clear how much fun all three of you are having. Yeah. It'll be a shame when Ryan Gosling plays Sparks in the movie.
But also fun.
There's a movie?
Yeah, I'm announcing it. I'm announcing it here on We Got This.
Yeah. The best place to announce your movies.
Well, if I can throw in a nice thing about Mark Evan Jackson and his unique acting ability is that I think he's singular in the world for being able to play at the same time high status and low status.
Yes. I've heard you say that before, and that's so
okay,
true.
Thanks, Mark. Let's cut that out.
Well, no, you can cut that out if you want. No, but I mean, I know that is a thing that you value about him in that character. So since hearing that, I have noticed it more and more, and it's a perfect distillation, I think.
Yeah. Well, and the wit that he brings to the characters, the wit that he brings to like real life as a friend and just a person, but also he is one of the kindest, biggest, hardest, sweetest people, like just a great friend. And that's something that when that peeks through, when he brings that through in the character, it carries a ton of weight. And it's, he gets to turn that off to play this character or mask it. Similarly to Paul and Paget, who are also really kind people who play characters that just want to get rid of everybody who is around them. And what makes it a difficult choice between the two is you and Mark have incredible chemistry. Paul and Paget have incredible chemistry. You all play your characters extremely well. You know how to find and mine laughs and create moments that aren't in the script that'll just make it better, and never in a self-serving way. Like everything serves the material and the story is appropriate for the moment. That's what makes it a difficult choice between the two.
Yeah.
Why choose?
We have to. That's the thing. I have one more thing I wanted to talk about with Sparks, and then I have a way that maybe, since this is as subjective an objective decision we've ever had to make on the show, I want to talk a little bit about world building in Sparks. And that's one thing that I think over the years I've really loved about doing Sparks and just reading Sparks, and is the number of characters. You mentioned before, you've got 30 named characters that live in the town that you could drop into any episode and that would make sense that they were there. And it started first, it's the Red Plains Rider. And then you've got Barkeep, and then you've got the robot doors of the saloon, and you've got Felton, and then even expanding out from there, you've got Sparks's parents and a million others, Pemberley Stalwark, people who come to the planet for longer than just one story.
Rebecca Rose Rushmore,
novelist. Captain Laserbeam came out of this. Like,
no, he didn't.
No, not Captain Laserbeam. This is the second
Cactoid
time
Jim.
I've confused Cactoid Jim and Captain Laserbeam.
Yeah.
Cactoid Jim went and married Red for a while, or dated Red, and then it's a soap opera. It's very convoluted.
It is a
within
soap opera,
one episode.
and it's a sitcom. Like, that's part of the fun of writing Sparks, is we are just writing a sitcom, like,
which is great.
Most of the cast members, I'd say everyone but Hal and Janet have regular characters.
Yeah,
that they play.
Although I'm the narrator, so I get to be there every time.
Sure,
I'm always there.
But that also means, like, we
You're
get to
the
put
voice
you
of
guys
Spark.
in and play a bunch of different characters, which is part of the fun of that show. But like, everybody has regular characters to play, and those voices are so strong because of both the original script, what they brought to it, and then us writing for them from then henceforth, which is both, as Ben mentioned, challenging. It's a lot of characters to serve in a short amount of time, but it's also really fun because when you're watching an episode of Friends, how Joey is going to respond to a situation, just as you know how Croach is going to respond to a situation.
Yeah.
What's
that? How are you doing? And it really is about. It's about those character voices within a world that you still have to build that is a sci-fi world. So there's still all of these other elements that have to happen in it. And I think so often it comes into my head something that Acker, you wrote in a script a long time ago, a time travel monologue, where you were like, I'm not going to talk about how I did the time travel because that's not the important part anyway. Let's get to how I'm feeling about the situation. And it feels like that mentality has guided so much of the sci-fi element of Sparks. For a long time, it was just make it a Ray that does that. And it's not about what the Ray does. It's about how these characters feel about what the Ray does.
I think Sparks also, especially, in the past 5 years or so since we brought the show back is because it's an ongoing story, pretty much. Because Sparks is a character who can learn and grow, as can the other characters in Sparks. It's a place where we can work our shit out. You know, like Ben wrote an episode, I think it was one of the first lockdown episodes we did, if not the first, called Sparks Nevada versus Everything Everywhere All at Once or something like that. And it was like, yeah, everything is happening and it's terrible. Everything feels bad right now. And so we put that on Mars and had Sparks deal with all of this stuff that was going on, but it was still funny and he was still surrounded by his friends, you know?
Yeah.
We had a conversation about that recently, Blacker, that was me feeling strongly that Sparks is our place to work stuff out now more than ever when there's stuff that needs working out. And I remember you saying the secret is that it always was.
Yeah. 100%. You know, and the relationship stuff with Sparks and Croach, like that is stuff about friendship. That is like, it's not a mistake that we started writing a story over 10 years about finding community while we were finding our community in Los Angeles. You know, we started doing the show within 6 months of me moving to LA and knowing only Ben, you know, and over that time, like I got to be friends with you guys and everyone who does the show and other shows. And like that stuff became more important than the work I was seeking, you know, and like ultimately that's what Sparks, especially in the first decade, became about for me. You know, and then it's also fun to say, and I learned this from Acker, like, what is the thing I'm going through that I can put into a Sparks episode? So like we did an episode a couple of years ago about Sparks leading this group of interns, or they were like college students at the time. And it was because I was doing that for my college and I was dealing with these kids who were like these greasy, weird, like socially awkward nerds. And like we gave those to Sparks and it became a fun kind of running thing.
It's funny that you credit me for that because I think of all of the core principle of the show, which is to find the emotional truth of the thing, comes directly from you and how you used to teach high school English. He had on the board basic human truth plus metaphor equals art. And, you know, arguably that's what we're making, if not craft. But like to make sure that in the world build, you don't get too lost in the world and maintain, you know, the humanity of the characters. That's going to be a fun story to watch and to play and to follow.
And that's what makes Sparks Nevada, Marshall on Mars, the best Thrilling Adventure Hour segment.
Thank you. Good night.
Oh, wow.
Asked and answered.
Wow. All right.
But also beyond Melissa's.
Nope. No takebacks. No takebacks. I guess I don't have to do. I will. We don't need this question segment.
We did it.
Been determined. We did it. Wait. Real quick before Hal does the whole people of the world and then the final decision. Just want to sneak in here real fast. And I was just going to sneak in here real fast and say, don't forget this Friday, March 28th is the final day of MaxFunDrive. So please visit MaximumFun.org/join. Make sure you check the box that says we got this. That's how we make sure that we get your support. And thank you for this. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Oh, you're going to get the bonus content. Oh, and if you are at the $10 level, you'll also get the pin, but also, oh, sorry, Hal. Okay, go.
Okay. People of the world, if you've never been a Max Fun member, just try it out. $5 a month. Enjoy that bonus content. Don't forget you can boost or upgrade as well. And be sure to check that box at MaximumFun.org/join. For We Got This with Mark and Hal. That is the only way that our show will benefit directly from your membership. Thank you to everyone who's gotten involved in this drive and who's ever been involved in any drive. And thank you to the people who are about to do it right now. Okay, here's the real people of the world.
Nice misdirect.
Yeah, thank you.
People of the world, shine your Astro Spurs and down your robot fists, because the best thrill and adventure hour segment is Sparks Nevada, Marshall on Mars.
Asked and answered. There you go.
You guys would really care, and Paul Patchett don't care.
Padgett doesn't even know how to work a podcast.
No, she's been on the show like 30 times, has never heard it. And we would have it no other way.
Which I'll say, it's a testament to you guys. You know, we all just want to come hang out with you.
Oh, thanks. It's so fun having you guys here.
This, you know
we
what?
haven't been recording this.
Honestly,
no, we just wanted to talk.
When I came to Mark with the idea of doing this, I was like, I want people who are listening to have the experience that we had hanging out backstage at the Thrilling Adventure Hour. Because that is,
way more fun than the show.
Yes. But honestly, yeah. The show was it continues to be the thrill of a lifetime. But the saddest loss of stopping the monthly show was us not hanging out backstage. Although for you were running around. Blacker was trying to get the sound effects to work, and Blacker was running around trying to corral everybody. So different experience for you. But the fact that we were all together and that we remain close. I mean, you all are family to me, whether I am to you or not. So the relationships mean the world to me. And I've been looking forward to this year so much, especially in a time where it's been more and more difficult to find joy. This is like the bright spot to look forward to. And even getting to talk to the three of you today is a bright spot. So thank you for being here.
Thank you guys. I hope folks will come out to these shows. Like, I think you've hit on something, Hal, that we have always wanted to do in the show. And I think we really want to do with these touring shows, which is just like, come have fun, be in this warm, friendly, silly environment with your friends who are on stage and off stage, who are in the audience and who are in the cast. Go to thrillingadventure.live. Come to see us in Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, and London. Almost all the shows are sold out. They have very few tickets left for each of those. So if you want to come to the shows, get them.
Get them now. We're very excited. Hal, I couldn't have put it better myself. This is, like you said, you come to LA, you find your people, and you hold on to them. And 20 years ago, we found this, and we've been holding on to it, and never going to let it go. Always going to be here.
As life's works go, it's pretty special.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Unfortunately, gents, though, this episode is over. This topic has been asked and answered, but there are many more topics to discuss. But before we get to that, just wanted to remind you, this is the last week of MaxFunDrive. It ends Friday, March 28th. Make sure you visit MaximumFun.org/join. Become a member. Check the box that says, "We got this," so that our show gets your support. And it is your support that keeps us going. Thank you. This topic is closed, but there are many more topics to discuss. So please reach out to us via email at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com, or
find us on Blue Sky at We Got This Podcast, Instagram at We Got This Show, and join our Discord, bit.ly/WGT Discord. I don't care how you capitalize it. You'll still find your way there. And on YouTube, youtube.com/@ We Got This Podcast. Thank you to producer Ken Plume, researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And thanks, of course, to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, the people of the world. The people of the world who have been with us for one episode, the people of the world who have been with us for the over 9 years we've been doing We Got This, and the people of the world who have been with us for the 20 years that the Thrilling Adventure Hour has been around. We couldn't do it without you. We wouldn't do it without you. To all of you, and on behalf of both shows, I will say thank you, thank you, thank you. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin, and don't worry, everybody.
We got this.
We got this.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows
supported
directly by you.